Theorem 10 looks at a very special triangle which is called a right-angled triangle. Now, this theorem is attributed to a great mathematician called Pythagoras. Now, these are some of the people who contributed to geometry. As you can imagine, Euclid was not the only one who actually built up Euclidean geometry. There were other contributions from other mathematicians. Now, Pythagoras had a special or particular attention to studying right-angled triangles. Right-angled triangles are triangles that have an angle of 90 degrees. That's why they are special, because they have that 90-degree angle in them. Then they become, we call them right-angled triangles. Now, Pythagoras really discovered that, or he put on this theorem 10 to say, in right-angled triangles, the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. And this theorem here, it didn't take the A part or the B part to actually give us a short version. What they did here is that we named this theorem after Pythagoras to say, look, this is the theorem of Pythagoras, or you can simply just say Pythagoras. Then we know that we are talking about this theorem if you mention this in your problem solving, or that's how we reference this theorem. Now, to understand this theorem or break it down properly, we need to understand what the hypotenuse is. Remember, we said the right angle triangle will be the one that has at least an angle of 90 degrees. Now, here we then say the hypotenuse is one of the sides of the triangle, but it is the longest side. It is the longest side, because once you have an angle that has 90 degrees, your sides won't be equal. There'll be one that is the longest, then there'll be the other two. Now, we're saying that if you take that longest side and you square it, and you also take the other two sides, you square them, and then you add them together, the square of that longest side, the hypotenuse, should be equal to the sum of the square of the two other sides. In other words, when I add the other two sides that I've squared, I should get the same number. Now, when you look at it in terms of a diagram, what it means is that we are going to have, let's say, triangle PAT here, and we have an angle of 90 degrees. That's why we call it a right angle triangle, because it has an angle of 90 degrees. And as a given information, we would say then we are using the theorem of Pythagoras. So if we have such a triangle, we can then conclude, we can come up with the conclusion to say, if we take this longest side, already maybe you can see that PT will be the longest side, because usually the longest side on a right angle triangle is the one that is opposite the right angle. It always happens like that. Now, if we take this longest side PT and we square it, it should be exactly the same as the square, the sum. The sum would mean I add the other two sides, but it will be the sum of the square, meaning we square this one and also we square that one. We should get exactly the same number. Now, if we get 10 here, we should also get 10 this side. And this is a very useful theorem to help us find any of the sides here in this triangle.